out there, brothers and sisters? It's a holy and powerful edition of the Brew. Jersey Joe, Ion over here. You know, it's Crazy Bar Talk, and you know what? You guys had a lot to talk about on this one, because we're talking about TV Evangelical Preachers, and would you have a beer with one of them? Great question, right? We put that question out on social media. You guys had a lot to say. Joel and I are going to share our conversation. Those of you watching live, chime in with yours, or those of you watching later on the YouTube rebroadcast, put it down at the bottom of the screen or hit us up at Jersey Joe 50 Ionize 4091. So, holy crap, there's a lot to talk about on this one. So let's go to Brother Joel over there first. So, would you have a beer with an evangelical preacher? Say that 3 times fast. And who would it be?
Yeah, definitely. I would try and pick Mike Murdoch's brain about how he mass manipulates stupid people to send him money.
Hallelujah, little bro.
Yeah, Mike Murdoch. I pick Joel Osteen would be cool too, but only because we're Joels. We got to stick together.
Well, Keith wrote in with a comment. I'm going to share his because I kind of think along his lines in this one. Keith writes in and says, "None. Every one of them is corrupt and seeking praise, power, and wealth. There is nothing Christ-like about televangelists."
Well, no shit.
Yeah. I mean, look, let's put this out there first. Let's do the right and the wrong, though. You know, churches are generally a positive thing. They do good things for the community. You have people, place to worship. They, make people behave, do good things. They help feed the hungry, clothe people. That if there's a disaster, they'll help house you and things. They, community-wise, they generally are a positive thing. But you get these fancy guys on TV with the fancy suits who are trying to suck money away from you and make you feel like you're going to inherit the kingdom of heaven or become a rich guy by sending them $1,000. Well, that's just plain silly.
Yeah, when they get on there and they're like, "Oh yeah, I got my third jet and I fueled that up in Miami because I had to fly to Dallas to put on my sermon.
Yeah.
And then I had to fly to Chicago to get a Portillo's dog." It's like, dude, you have too much money if you're bragging about which private jet you're flying to which sermon on any given day. And
the worst part was a couple of these preachers, I'm going to name them out, Creflo Dollar and Kenneth Copeland, actually went on TV and said, "Send me money so I can buy a jet." You know what? First off, if you're worried about doing good and travel, man up and do it like Joel and I and take United Airlines. Pay the $400. You don't need some $1 million jet to fly around the country to suck more money out of people and, take advantage of them. And that's what they do. Oh, and there's this one guy. I'm going to call him out right now. Peter Popoff. This guy, he airs at 3 o'clock in the morning here in New York with this miracle water. Send this guy, first off, you just call him up on his toll-free number and you get yourself the miracle water. And then, of course, you go on a donation after that. Well, let me say this. First off, if this guy has the miracle water, why isn't he giving it out to everybody free? Or why hasn't our government seized it to give it to everybody? And then if he truly is Jesus Christ and saved you this miracle water, why is he on at 3 o'clock in the morning? Certainly NBC would give him a primetime show at 10 o'clock, right? If he's like super great. The only thing this guy is fat off of people's money, he sucks away from people in donations. It's sickening. He's sickening. And it's people like that really should be arrested. And they get away free because it's all tax-free bullshit.
Yeah, it's criminal. It's absolutely criminal. And then you got these fat cats who's been eating too many cheesesteaks, driving around in private cars and limos. And,
yeah.
"Oh, in my 13th mansion, I got blah, blah, blah. Can you please lend a hand? Oh, much for the Lord."
I'm feeling the power of your sermon right there. I'm feeling it. You know what? But the other thing they do and how they talk you into sending the money is you gotta do this. You gotta stare directly in the camera and be serious with your tithe. Send me $1,000. Plant your seed. And God will make you a miracle. Plant your seed. And then what you do is you just stop talking and you stare at them for another 30 seconds and make them feel, "Oh, shit, maybe I should." You just, like that Mike Murdoch guy. The moment
that you bless God's family, God will bless your family.
Yeah. It's that Mike Murdoch guy you talk to, too, where he gets on TV and says, they sent $1,000 and now all of a sudden their credit card bills are paid off. Really? Because if that's the case, first off, we have no banking system. And number two, why the hell does God care about money? He can make anything. Jesus turned water into wine out of nothing. Jesus was in poverty. He didn't care about money. But yet these big churches are like, "Give me a donation." Again, I'm not trying to bust their balls because some of them do good. I'm going to say that. But these big televangelists on TV that are paying for that airtime, they're just literally bullshitting people for the money. And now I'm going to go to Pat Robertson with 700 Clubs. I'm not done with him either. First off, you got this lunatic on TV that ties in politics together with church, and that's wrong. He gets on there and, talks about how great Trump is and makes half of it a news program. And then the second half asks for more donations. Then they do their yearly pledge drive, where they put this clock up on the screen and say, "We need 1,000 callers in the next 30 minutes before this clock runs out," or, "Oh my God, the world's going to come to an end." First off, the show's not live, so he's already bullshitting people by putting that fake bullshit clock up in the corner. I'm going to call him out on it because it's totally true. And second, they pay for the airtime too, so that is not the right way to do it. And the last one I'm going to make, the book of Revelation, towards the end of days, calls about false prophets going to be out, false, priests, false gods are going to be there, and here we go. And I'm calling out all these guys, mostly on TV, because most of them at one point get exposed for being the scumbag that they are.
Yeah, the Pat Robertson one is an excellent example. Jack Van Impe is another one that's fucking hilarious. I don't know if I would want to get a beer with him, though, because I feel like he'd, fall down off the stool and claim he was getting attacked by demons and shit.
Yeah.
So those dudes, the Mike Murdoch one, he talks about, it's an hour-long show, and he talks about money the entire time. It's supposed to be religious, and all he talks about is your credit card bill. How is that not a huge red flag for anybody watching?
Right, and that scumbag's been doing this for decades, too, on top of it. You notice I call him a scumbag because he's no higher on the world of life than those bullshit, people that call you on the phone and pretend like they're from the IRS, all those robo-scammer calls. That's what I'm calling people like him, too, a scam artist. And I'll sign my name on that. He's a scam artist, and he's getting away tax-free, too. Bullshit. This guy, what's going to do? Go to heaven and wipe his ass with $20 bills? Come on, man. I mean, it's so fraudulent. But the good thing is, look, there are TV channels that broadcast this stuff 24 hours a day. These guys pay for airtime. But basically, people like my age, soon to be 41 and lower, aren't falling for it anymore. They're basically targeting people like my grandmother who think they can pay their way into heaven. You pay your way by doing good deeds and prayer and, believing what you do. Not writing a check to one of these fat cats.
Yeah, and it's funny because you can tell what their target audience is when they're like, write a check.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Write a check. None of them take PayPal or Venmo, do they? That's very true. Okay, well, look, we asked a question on social media. Do you trust TV evangelists? I know Joel and I just railroaded them all. And who would you have a beer with? Well, let's share some of your comments right now because JJ writes it in. He says, Jesse Custer. That's the guy from the comic book and the TV series Preacher, which I think is on AMC. Jersey Pete writes in and says, for generous donation to my church, I will give you the answer. Lol, that's right. And Craig writes in and says, a beer? No, I'd throw back some holy water, though. If you believe that I believe in them, then you believe that I believe that angels aren't just real. They play baseball in Anaheim. Hashtag follow that tone. Oh, and speaking of baseball in Anaheim, you want to talk about Jesus and the Antichrist. I know how much you love that.
Mike Trout is the Antichrist. I'm just warning you now. I've been saying it for years, but I'm warning you. He's the Antichrist. There's
far worse people out there in the land, but I had to give you your opportunity to bash him because I know how much you love doing that. More of your comments right now because David writes in and says, nope, not at all, and sends a picture of Joel Osteen a gift counting his money. Tybox writes in and says, Sam Kinison. People forget he was a preacher before he was a comedian. Sam Kinison, he was a preacher, I think, when he was really young, as a comedian in the 80s and 90s. But this guy actually was killed in a fatal traffic accident outside of Vegas, actually, where somebody crossed the double line and hit him and kind of ended that life. But preacher turned regular guy. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, at least he was an honest preacher. Eventually he's like, I can't deal with this shit anymore. I gotta just tell the truth.
Yeah, brothers and sisters, he saw the light. Yeah. Now send me $5 and I'll continue this web show because God says $5 and $5 to Joel. So he's going to sacrifice his
sow your seed.
Plant your seed right here, right now with the bros of the brew. Okay, more of your comments right now. And we got a bunch of good ones. Tom continues. He says, not a single one he'd have a beer with. Oilers John writes in with a few. He says, I am not picky. The more crazy, the better. I would pick one that actually will listen to what I have to say and not talk over top of me. Mutual respect for each other's opinions is needed. They are all there for the money. I bet half of them don't even believe in God. They just like taking your money. Ooh, I think he kind of sums it all up right there.
Yeah, you can definitely tell, especially with most of them.
Yeah, and I mean, how many TV shows have exposed what these guys' fat lives really are? They live in mansions, I mean, again, they're trying to do. Some of them are actually doing good, but the vast majority of them, like Jim and Tammy Faye Baker, they went bankrupt in the '80s. She used to get on TV and cry over their mascara, and again, want more money. And then what they do, they spent it all, went broke, and now he's back and he's at it, trying again. You know what? So it's sad. So what you hope at the end of the day is, like the Bible says, God will come down and smite them all.
No, that would be too justified. That's definitely not going to happen.
I just want to know if those big fancy suits are flammable. That's the question. We'll find out when they walk through the gates of hell. All right, so hey, we put this out on put the poll out on social media and asked the questions. The first one was, would you ever have a beer with an evangelical preacher? Interesting enough, though, 61% of you said you actually would. 39% of you said no. That I was surprised by, that more of our viewers and online followers would actually go and do it.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think people want to know, either they want to know something about God. I think a lot of people are still kind of searching for the Lord. And a lot of other people just want to hear some crazy shit.
You know what, though? Also, for the big bankroll these guys have, you would at least hope that they would pick up the tab for the drinks. Second poll we put out on social media asked the question...
Just knowing them, they're not going to do it. There's not a single one.
No, of course
not. That's not how they work.
No. We put a second question out on social media in the poll, and the question is, do you trust TV evangelical preachers? Well, this one contradicts the other one because 78% of you said, nope, not a chance. 22% of you said yes. So I'm sure one or two people clicked on that yes, maybe thinking it was a no. But, all right, so that one kind of lines up more with what you and I think. Most people don't trust them.
Right.
But one thing you do want to trust is the comedy right here in the Brew. We'll see you here each and every week. Click that like and subscribe button down below. Lots of fun to have on here. And on my other web show, Kickback Jersey Joe, and this Thursday, I'm crowning the winners of Caption This. I put funny pictures online, like a guy with the biggest eyes ever to a pissed off Santa Claus. And you guys wrote funny comments. I crowned the winner Thursday on Kicking Back with Jersey Joe. And I'll tell you what, holy hell, that is some great comedy right there. Okay, so Joel, one thing we're going to do here now, I think we need to close this service with a hymn. I want you to open up your hymnal to page number 198. We're going to sing verses 1, 3, and 5. Standing, please. You ready? Oh. Yes, he is, with his recycled Taco Bell napkin. Well, there you go. Hopefully we didn't take any of you off. Look, at the end of the day, it comes down to your beliefs, what you want to believe, what you want to do. And hey, you donate your money. It's your money. You do what you want with it. But hopefully, if you see somebody going crazy and like breaking the bank, giving these big-time preachers money, hopefully you have a conversation with them. But at the end of the day, it's your choice to spend
it to us instead. Send it to me and Joe. My PayPal is the same as my handle.
Amen to that. So, all right, Jersey Joe here, Eye Out of the Box. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you next time.